backup quarterback comes in as a spark for the other team. How big was the pressure you guys were able to put on Shedeur to keep him off balance?
And I'm so glad you asked that. I should have said more about that in the team post meeting. I mean, first of all, the defense. I think they gave up 187 yards. Okay. The pressure, the pass rush was incredible, especially in the second half. How many sacks, how many quarterback hits, really did give him a chance to breathe really at all. I thought the coverage was really good. Man coverage, yeah, he completed a couple there, but how about the coverage down the stretch? How about Cheeto's play? How about Rowe's play? Just tight coverage and batting balls out and getting PBUs. Of course, the sacks. I'm just going to be more proud of those guys.
So John Harbaugh just dropped a bomb about Shedeur Sanders that has the whole NFL world talking right now. And trust me, this isn't some boring coach talk. This is a future Hall of Fame coach quietly calling out Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns without even saying their names. And everybody in the league heard it.
You just told me, so we picked him on Saturday, right? Friday night driving home, y'all were going to pick Shedeur. I would say that's not happening. But at the end of the day, that's Gary's call, and he made the call to pick Shedeur.
If you feel this way about Shedeur, why y'all still got the man?
Since 2000, the Cleveland Browns have had 35 different starting quarterbacks. So now you're going to take it upon yourself to say Shedeur Sanders wasn't your pick. And that's probably why it's going to work.
Hey, when I look at it, I just like how the young man going about himself, man. Shedeur, there's no better way to go about this than keep your head down and keep working, bro. He looks comfortable out there, first and foremost. And he looks like he's still enjoying the game, man. And I think this is just more, fuel to the fire as opposed to it's going to help him out throughout his NFL career in general.
You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to break him.
But here's where it gets straight up crazy. Coach Prime was literally in tears yesterday. Real emotion, no performance. Shannon Sharpe jumped on his show and went on a 4-minute rant, calling this malpractice. And once you hear what I'm about to lay out, you'll see why some people think this might be one of the wildest front office sabotages we've ever seen in the NFL. Look, I'm not going to pretend I'm neutral here because I'm not. I've been in the room with Shedeur, I've talked with Shiloh, with Deion Sanders Jr., with the whole Sanders family. So when I tell you what's going down in Cleveland right now, feels flat out wrong. I'm speaking from real conversations, not just rumors. I'm not some random voice online tossing out hot takes for clicks. I'm someone who actually understands what this young man has been fighting through behind closed doors. So let's run it back to the start, because this situation is layered like an onion, and every layer we peel back makes the whole thing smell even worse. Gabriel goes down with a concussion against the Saints, the Browns are sinking, the offense looks straight up frozen, and Kevin Stefanski has no choice but to throw Shedeur Sanders into the game. Now here's what most people don't realize. This was literally the first time Shedeur had ever taken a real snap with the starting offense. Not in practice, not in training camp, not in walkthroughs, nothing. The first time this man got to run actual plays with the first team was in a live NFL game, with the whole season hanging by a thread. Just think about that for a second. Shedeur Sanders was drafted in May, and we're now in week 11. That's 6 months. 6 months of practices, film sessions, and chances to give him even a tiny bit of work with the ones, and Kevin Stefanski gave him absolutely nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nothing at all. You're telling me in all those practices, Dillon Gabriel couldn't slide over and spare even 2 out of 10 reps for the backup? You're telling me there wasn't one moment where Stefanski thought, maybe we should get our second-round pick ready just in case? That's not coaching, that's straight negligence. And John Harbaugh, whether he meant to or not, just exposed the whole setup.
I don't think that's not my place, to answer, to even be able to give the answer to that. I feel like it's not in my control. So I'm not even going to think about that or have that even in my thought process of why it is. Like, it's a lot of people that want to have the opportunity to be at this level, and I'm here, and I'm thankful to have the opportunity. So whenever that is, it is. But it doesn't make me feel down, or it doesn't make me feel left out or anything, because I know who I am as a person. I know who I am as an individual.
Now you might be thinking, wait, what did Harbaugh actually say? Let me break it down, because this is where things get seriously interesting. A reporter asked Harbaugh about facing a backup quarterback who steps in without much film, and Harbaugh's answer was absolutely on point. He said, "You practice your game plan, and the game plan was going to be good for their offensive system. They're not going to change who they are. You don't know how the quarterback's going to look exactly, but you just got to kind of take care of your own business." On the surface, sure, it sounds like ordinary coach talk, right? But listen to the real message hiding underneath. He's basically saying that when a backup enters the game, you don't flip your whole defensive identity because the offense isn't switching theirs. The plays stay the same, the system stays the same, the philosophy stays the same. The only thing that changes is the dude taking the snaps. So tell me this, why wouldn't Kevin Stefanski prepare Shedeur to run that same offense? Why wouldn't he give him reps so that when the moment hit, and in the NFL that moment always hits, Shedeur would actually be ready?
There's no possible way anything could possibly go wrong that you want to get Shedeur like 1 reps with the ones, 2 reps with the ones. I ain't saying split it 50-50. I understand that. But even when John was taking the majority of the reps, John, if we did 10 reps in a period, the backup would take 2 just in case. So for Shedeur Sanders, here we are in week 11.
Harbaugh has been coaching longer than some players have been alive. He's seen backups enter a game and absolutely shine because they were prepared. He's also seen backups crash because nobody got them ready. And what he's quietly pointing out is simple. Preparation matters. Chemistry with the starters matters. Knowing the actual offense matters. And the Browns straight up failed Shedeur Sanders on every level. Here's where the story takes an emotional turn that honestly hit me hard. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders himself, spoke to a group yesterday, and man, his voice was cracking. You could hear the hurt in every single word he spoke, man. He was in real tears watching Shedeur play because this journey has been building for a long time. Then he dropped a heavy statement that shook the whole room. Shedeur Sanders has been on this football team since May, and for him to receive no reps, not knowing where a receiver would be after a route, not having any timing, not having any chemistry, that is critical for any quarterback trying to grow. Coach Prime kept going, and what he said next is going to make a lot of Browns fans uncomfortable, but it needed to be said loud and clear. He said, "I feel like the Browns have already damaged Shedeur mentally. Let him go somewhere else and get developed. For real, get him out of Cleveland. You don't care. Never cared."
First time that Shedeur Sanders had taken a snap with the starters, with the ones, was in this game, is malpractice. At no point in time, and this is what I said, Ocho, so at no point in time, so you don't think Dillon Gabriel could possibly get hurt. He can't possibly bring a knee, bring a shoulder, get concussion. There's no possible way anything could possibly go wrong that you want to get Shedeur like 1 reps with the ones, 2 reps with the ones.
That came from a father watching his son get set up to struggle, and it was raw. And before anyone jumps in saying Coach Prime is being dramatic or too protective, let me ask you something. If you spent years training your son, watching him shine at Jackson State, watching him shine at Colorado, seeing him get drafted by an NFL organization, and then you watch that same team refuse to develop him, refuse to give him real opportunities, refuse to even practice with him the right way, wouldn't you feel something too? Wouldn't you be hurt? Wouldn't you be frustrated? Because this has nothing to do with entitlement. This is about basic professional development that every backup quarterback in the league normally gets, except Shedeur. And speaking of frustration, Shannon Sharpe absolutely went off on Nightcap last night. I'm talking about a full 4-minute explosion where he was so fired up that Ocho Cinco just sat there nodding because even he couldn't process what he was hearing. Shannon started by saying the first time Shedeur Sanders ever took a snap with the starters, with the actual ones, was in this game. That is malpractice, straight up. That's a word you use when a doctor messes up so badly they shouldn't keep their license. And Shannon wasn't exaggerating when he said that's exactly what Kevin Stefanski did to Shedeur Sanders. He asked the question everybody's scared to ask. Did Stefanski really think Dillon Gabriel could never get hurt? No blown knee, no shoulder issue, no concussion, nothing? Not even one moment where he thought, maybe I should give Shedeur 1 rep with the ones, maybe 2? That's wild. Shannon played in the league, so he knows the real routine.
Especially when you haven't had any reps with the ones. When it comes to the play calling, what play calls are you going to be able to call for a quarterback that hasn't had any reps with the ones? You don't know what he does well, what he doesn't do, you don't know what he does well. You don't know what he's not going to be good at because there's no chemistry. There's no chemistry. So you're just out there calling plays all willy-nilly, not knowing how the offense can run. And I know as a quarterback, you're supposed to be prepared.
He said even when John Elway was the clear starter in Denver, if there were 10 reps in a period, the backup still took 2 just in case. Because in football, anything can change in 1 play. Guys get hurt, momentum swings, and the team needs the backup ready. Not just for himself, but for the whole squad. But Stefanski didn't do that. He left Shedeur out of everything. So when Dillon Gabriel went down, They threw a quarterback into the fire who had never practiced with the starting receivers, didn't know their timing, had zero chemistry with the offensive line, and hadn't gone over his favorite plays with the coach like Dylan does every week. And that matters. When a quarterback tells his coordinator which plays he feels comfortable with, the game plan gets built around those strengths. That's how you bring out the best in a player and give your team a real shot to win. But Stefanski couldn't do that with Shedeur because he had nothing to work with. No reps, no chemistry, no data, no real preparation. So when Shedeur stepped into that game, Stefanski was basically calling plays blindfolded, hoping something might hit. And of course, it didn't go well. Shedeur's stat line wasn't pretty, but how could it be? He was out there running a totally different rhythm than everyone else. The receivers didn't know his timing, the O-line didn't know his cadence, and the play calling was basic because Stefanski had no clue what Shedeur actually does well. And for anyone saying, well, he didn't play great, so maybe he didn't deserve reps, you're missing the whole point. Football isn't a video game. You can't swap in a quarterback and expect smooth chemistry. Timing, rhythm, mesh points, snap counts, all of that comes from practice, and Shedeur got none of it. Shannon Sharpe even broke down a play where Shedeur got blasted because 3 linemen blocked 1 defender while another ran free. That's a simple protection slide, something quarterbacks learn through reps and trust with the line. Shedeur hasn't built that yet because he was never given the chance. And that's not on him. That's on Kevin Stefanski and the Browns for putting him in that spot with zero preparation. I've been saying for weeks that the Browns are sabotaging Shedeur, and some people called me dramatic. But after yesterday, after watching how everything unfolded, I'm more convinced than ever something shady is happening in Cleveland. And it's not just me thinking this. There's the whole agent situation I talked about before. Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders have different agents, and it's created weird politics around who gets real opportunities. Then there's the fact Stefanski looks personally invested in making Dillon Gabriel work, almost like his job depends on it. And honestly, it probably does. When a second-round quarterback fails, coaches and GMs usually pay the price. So Stefanski is riding with Dillon no matter what, even if it means ignoring his backup completely. But here's the wild part. Even if you don't like Shedeur, even if you think Dillon is better, even if you're the biggest Stefanski supporter ever, you still have to admit not giving your backup any first-team reps is terrible coaching. There's no spin for that, it's just bad football management. And the worst part is the long-term impact on Shedeur's career. Coach Prime said it himself. The Browns have damaged him mentally. When you're a young quarterback trying to prove yourself and your own team won't even let you practice with the main guys, what does that do to your confidence? Your preparation? Your trust in the organization? It creates doubt, frustration, and a toxic feeling like you're fighting against your own team instead of fighting with them. And that's exactly what's happening in Cleveland right now. Look, let me make one thing clear. I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is perfect. I'm not crowning him a Hall of Famer or calling him better than Patrick Mahomes. What I am saying is he deserves a real shot. He deserves proper development. He deserves the same opportunities every other backup quarterback in the league gets. And right now, Cleveland isn't giving him that. Now here's the real question. What happens next? Dillon Gabriel is in concussion protocol, so there's a good chance Shedeur starts against the Raiders this week. And if that happens, things get interesting fast because Stefanski finally has a full week to actually work with him. He can give him first-team reps, adjust the offense to his strengths, and build a game plan around him like he should have done months ago. If Shedeur plays great, Stefanski looks even worse for neglecting him. If he struggles, people will blame him without understanding he's operating with no chemistry and almost no real prep with the starters. Either way, this situation is nowhere near finished, and the whole league is watching. Other teams see what's happening. If the Browns keep mishandling Shedeur, you better believe organizations will line up to trade for him. This kid has talent, pedigree, arm strength, and real football IQ. He just needs a coaching staff that actually believes in him. And here's the bigger picture. This Shedeur situation isn't just about one player or one team. It highlights a real issue in the N.F.L. where young quarterbacks get tossed into impossible situations and then blamed when they struggle. This is a development problem, not a talent problem. Think about how many young quarterbacks have been ruined by bad coaching and bad organizations. Think about David Carr getting sacked 76 times as a rookie. Think about Josh Rosen getting shipped around twice in 2 years. Think about almost every quarterback Cleveland has drafted in the last 25 years. not named Baker Mayfield. The league has a terrible history of developing young QBs. And Cleveland is one of the biggest examples. And look, this isn't about trashing Browns fans. It's just facts. That list of quarterbacks Cleveland has cycled through since 1999 is rough, and the problem has never been the players. It's the organization, the instability, and the lack of a real development plan. So when Shedeur Sanders walked into this situation, he was already stepping into chaos. The Browns signed Dillon Gabriel as the veteran option, and that's fine. Nobody said Shedeur should have started week 1, but not giving him backup reps, not preparing him at all, that's organizational malpractice. Just like Shannon Sharpe said, and Coach Prime's comments about the Browns damaging Shedeur mentally. That's serious. Confidence is everything for a quarterback. You've got to believe you can make every throw. Believe your coaches trust you. Believe your team is behind you. Once that belief cracks, it's hard to get it back. We've seen it with Marcus Mariota in Tennessee. We've seen it with Sam Darnold trying to rebuild after the Jets. The mental side is just as important as the physical side, and the Browns are playing with fire by acting like Shedeur doesn't matter. But now I want to flip the script a little, because I know my audience loves Shedeur, and so do I. Despite the lack of preparation, despite being thrown into the fire with almost no support, Shedeur still showed flashes yesterday. He made throws that reminded everyone why he was a second-round pick, and he kept competing the whole time. That tells you the talent is there and the mental toughness is real. What's missing is the system and the support. And if Shedeur ever gets those things, whether Cleveland finally wakes up or he lands somewhere else, this kid can still be special. Shannon Sharpe said something that really stuck with me. If Dillon Gabriel stays in protocol and Shedeur starts against the Raiders, he'll finally get all the first-team reps, and Stefanski will actually know what he likes. And that's huge, because this week could be a turning point. If Gabriel can't go, Shedeur gets his first real week as the starter. Reps with Amari Cooper, timing with the receivers, protection meetings with the line, full game plan talks with Stefanski. Basically everything he should have been doing since May. And when he performs well, not if, when it's going to create some uncomfortable questions for Stefanski. Why didn't he prepare him sooner? Why did it take an injury for him to develop his backup? Why was Shedeur put in such a bad spot? There are no good answers for that because there's no good reason he didn't get reps. That's either incompetence, ego, or sabotage. None of which look good, and John Harbaugh's comments made that clear without saying it directly. He basically said a good organization always keeps their backup ready to run the system. That was a quiet shot at Cleveland, whether he meant it or not. The Ravens would never put a backup in that situation. Their guys get reps. They learn the system. They stay ready. That's what real organizations do. And that's why I keep saying, if things don't change fast, Shedeur needs to get out of Cleveland. Because if this is how they treat him now, why would anyone think it'll suddenly get better? If Dillon Gabriel gets healthy next week, is Shedeur just going back to 0 reps like nothing happened? Are they going to pretend this whole mess never existed? I hope not. For Shedeur's sake, for the Browns' sake, for the sake of basic football sense, I hope Stefanski finally gets it, because you can't ignore your backup and then act shocked when he's not ready. But honestly, I'm not holding my breath. The most frustrating part is this never had to happen. Shedeur Sanders is a talented young quarterback with elite preparation from a Hall of Fame father. He's played in pressure moments. He's shown he can compete, and he has every tool to succeed. But he needs a staff willing to invest in him. Right now, that's not Cleveland. So here's what I want you to do. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should Shedeur demand a trade? Are the Browns sabotaging him on purpose? Or is this just Cleveland being Cleveland? And if you were Shedeur, how would you handle this situation? Because if I'm him, I'm talking to my agent ASAP, checking which teams actually develop quarterbacks and which ones just break them. And Cleveland is looking like the second category real fast. But here's the part that gives me hope. Shedeur's got Prime behind him. He's got Shannon Sharpe calling out the truth. He's got people like me who've met him and know what kind of person he is. The truth is out now. The whole NFL is watching. And if the Browns don't fix this, another team will. So that's where we're at. John Harbaugh exposed Stefanski without even trying. Coach Prime is emotional and rightfully upset. Shannon Sharpe called it malpractice, and Shedeur Sanders is stuck in the middle of an organizational disaster he didn't cause. But I believe he's gonna rise from it. Will it happen in Cleveland or somewhere else? Let me know in the comments. Smash that like button if you think Shedeur deserves better. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you all on the next one. Because if Dillon Gabriel can't go this week, you know I'm breaking down every snap Shedeur takes. This story is just getting started.